Story number 1. The Hidden Depths of Outpost Echo. The year 2011 remains deeply etched in my memory, filled with events so chilling and inexplicable that they seem torn from the pages of a horror novel. At the time, I was 30 years old and working as a security guard on the night shift at Outpost Echo, an underground military base located in a suburban area of the United States. The base, with its labyrinthine network of tunnels and eerie silence, always had an air of mystery about it. My colleague, Nathan, only 28, shared my unease about the strange atmosphere of the place. We often joked about ghost stories to lighten the mood, but our laughter was tinged with nervousness. Our job was routine until the night the disturbances began. Our equipment started malfunctioning in bizarre ways. The radios emitted strange static, filled with whispers that seemed almost human. The surveillance cameras occasionally showed shadowy figures in areas that were supposed to be empty. One night, as we patrolled the lower levels, we heard it, a faint, sobbing sound echoing through the corridors. We followed the noise, only to find it moving away from us, as if leading us deeper into the base. It was an unnerving experience, and Nathan and I couldn't shake off the feeling that we were not alone. Driven by a mixture of fear and curiosity, we delved into the history of Outpost Echo. We discovered that it had been the site of a top-secret experiment during the Cold War involving psychological research on soldiers. The project was abruptly shut down, and its records were sealed, shrouded in mystery. Determined to uncover the truth, Nathan and I began documenting our experiences. Using handheld cameras and audio recorders, we captured chilling footage of unexplained phenomena, doors slamming shut, ghostly apparitions, and the eerie sobbing that seemed to permeate the walls. The most harrowing encounter occurred one fateful night. As we explored a long-abandoned research lab, the air grew cold, and a sense of overwhelming dread filled the room. There, in the flickering light of our flashlights, we saw her, a young woman in a tattered military uniform, her eyes hollow with despair. She whispered a warning, her voice barely audible, before vanishing into the shadows. We reported our findings to our superiors, but they were dismissed as figments of our imagination. Frustrated and desperate for answers, we leaked our recordings to the media. The story gained traction, leading to a full investigation of Outpost Echo. The inquiry unearthed the grim truth about the base's past. The experiments had led to several unexplained deaths, their stories buried in the depths of the facility. Following the investigation, Outpost Echo was decommissioned, and a memorial was erected in honor of those who had suffered within its walls. The paranormal occurrences ceased, and the base was sealed, its secrets entombed in the darkness. The events of 2011 changed me profoundly, opening my eyes to the horrors that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary places. The hidden depths of Outpost Echo serves as a haunting reminder of the past's ability to reach into the present, a testament to the unseen and unheard echoes of history. Story number 2. Shadows within the silent walls. The year 2012 remains the haunting memory, a time when the thin veil between reality and the unknown was torn apart. At 30, I was working as a security guard during the night shift at a secluded underground military base, known as Facility Delta, hidden in the suburbs of the United States. The base, an intricate web of tunnels and closed-off chambers, always had an unsettling aura. My fellow guard, Rachel, who was 27, felt it too. The silence of the underground corridors was deafening, and the darkness seemed to hide more than just shadows. Our experience with the unexplained began subtly. Radios crackling with static would occasionally pick up what sounded like faint, distant whispers. The surveillance system would glitch, showing brief glimpses of figures moving in the restricted areas where no living soul was supposed to be. One night, everything escalated. As we patrolled the lower levels, we heard a sound that sent chills down our spines, a slow, rhythmic thumping, like a heartbeat, resonating through the walls. Following the sound led us to a sealed-off section of the base, where the air felt colder, heavier. Curiosity and a sense of duty pushed us to investigate the base's past. We uncovered a chilling truth. Facility Delta had been the site of a covert government experiment in the late 1960s involving psychological testing on soldiers. The project ended abruptly under mysterious circumstances, with all records sealed. Determined to bring the truth to light, Rachel and I began documenting our nightly patrols. Using handheld cameras, we captured unnerving footage of flickering lights, shadowy figures lurking in the corners, and unexplained noises that echoed through the empty halls. The most terrifying encounter happened when we followed a shadowy figure into an abandoned lab inside. The figure, a young soldier, his face twisted in anguish, turned towards us, reaching out as if seeking help, before vanishing into thin air. We reported our findings, but the base command dismissed them, attributing them to the stress of night shifts. Refusing to be silenced, we leaked our footage, which quickly garnered media attention. The exposure led to an official investigation into Facility Delta. The inquiry revealed long-buried secrets about the experiments and the fate of the soldiers who had become unwilling participants. Following the investigation, Facility Delta was decommissioned. A small memorial was established to honor those who had suffered within its walls. After the closure, the paranormal occurrences ceased, as if the spirits had found the peace they had been denied. The events of 2012 profoundly changed my understanding of the world. They served as a haunting reminder of the unseen horrors that can lie hidden beneath a veneer of normalcy. The shadows within the silent walls of Facility Delta remain a stark testament to the untold stories that echo in the forgotten depths of history. Story number 3. The Forgotten Echoes of Base X-19. The year 2013 is a chapter in my life that I recall with a mixture of fear and disbelief. I was 30 years old, working as a night guard at Base X-19, a classified underground military facility nestled in the suburbs of the United States. The base, with its labyrinth of corridors and the ever-present hum of machinery, was a place shrouded in secrecy. My partner, Kyle, who was 28, and I patrolled the dimly lit hallways each night. The isolation of the underground complex was palpable, and a sense of unease always lingered in the air. It all started with minor anomalies, radios picking up static where there should have been none, monitors flickering inexplicably, and shadows that seemed to move just at the edge of our vision. We shrugged them off as quirks of the old facility. But then, things began to escalate. One night, while walking through a seldom used section of the base, I heard what sounded like muffled cries echoing through the walls. I radioed Kyle, but when he joined me, the crying had ceased, leaving only the oppressive silence of the underground. Driven by a need to understand, we began to investigate the history of Base X-19. We uncovered disturbing details about a series of unexplained incidents that had occurred in the early years of the base, incidents that had been hastily covered up and forgotten. Determined to shed light on these secrets, Kyle and I started to document our night shifts. We recorded strange occurrences, doors slamming shut on their own, unexplained cold drafts in a sealed environment, and fleeting glimpses of figures in the corners of the surveillance feeds. The most harrowing experience occurred one fateful night in the lower levels. We stumbled upon an old, locked door that seemed to vibrate with a life of its own. As we stood there, the air grew icy, and a chorus of whispers filled the corridor, weaving a tale of sorrow and pain. We reported our findings, but our superiors dismissed them, wanting us to focus on our duties. Undeterred, we leaked our recordings, which quickly caught the attention of the media. An investigation was launched, revealing the base's dark past. It had been the site of experimental research on soldiers, experiments that had pushed the boundaries of ethics and resulted in several unexplained deaths. Following the investigation, Base X-19 was decommissioned. A small memorial was erected in honor of those who had lost their lives in the depths of the facility. After the base's closure, the strange occurrences stopped, as if the restless spirits had finally found peace. The events of 2013 changed my perspective on life and the afterlife. They served as a chilling reminder of the echoes of the past that can linger in forgotten places, whispering their stories to those who dare to listen. The forgotten echoes of Base X-19 remain a testament to the unseen tragedies hidden beneath the surface of our reality. Story number 4. The Silent Screams of Sector 7. The year 2014 haunts me like a persistent shadow, a time when I confronted terrors that defied explanation. I was 30, working as a security guard on the night shift at an underground military base known as Sector 7, located in a suburban area of the United States. The base, with its sprawling subterranean tunnels and cold, metallic walls, always had an air of mystery. My colleague, Emma, 26, shared my sense of unease. We often joked about the spooky atmosphere to lighten the mood, but deep down, we felt something was off. Our experience with the unexplained began innocuously. Radios emitting eerie static, surveillance cameras capturing fleeting shadows, and equipment malfunctioning for no apparent reason. We initially dismissed these as quirks of the old facility. But then, things escalated. One night, as we patrolled near the research wing, we heard it, a sound so chilling it froze us in our tracks. A faint, distorted scream echoed through the corridors, coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. Driven by a mix of fear and duty, we started investigating the base's obscure history. We uncovered disturbing details about classified experiments that had taken place in Sector 7 during the Cold War. These experiments, shrouded in secrecy, were rumored to involve psychological testing on soldiers. Determined to unearth the truth, Emma and I began documenting the strange occurrences. Using handheld cameras, we captured unsettling footage of unexplained phenomena, lights flickering erratically, doors slamming shut with no one near them, and chilling apparitions that seemed to linger in the periphery. The most terrifying encounter happened in the abandoned part of Sector 7. We stumbled upon an old, sealed lab. As we stood there, the air grew icy, and a palpable sense of dread enveloped us. Suddenly, we saw them, figures clad in tattered military uniforms, their eyes hollow, mouthing silent screams. We reported our findings, but our superiors were dismissive, attributing our experiences to the stress of night shifts. Unwilling to let the story be buried, we leaked our footage, attracting the attention of investigative journalists. The media exposure led to a formal inquiry. The investigation revealed the horrific truth behind the experiments at Sector 7, bringing to light the suffering endured by those involved. Following the investigation, Sector 7 was shut down. A memorial was established to honor the forgotten victims of the base's dark past. After the closure, the paranormal activity ceased, as if the spirits had found the peace they were denied in life. The events of 2014 profoundly changed me, opening my eyes to the realities that lie hidden in the shadows. The silent screams of Sector 7 serve as a haunting reminder of the untold stories that lurk in the depths of secrecy, echoing their pain through the silent halls of forgotten history. Story number 5. The Haunting of Blackside Alpha. The year 2015 was a chapter in my life that felt like a descent into a realm beyond the ordinary. At the age of 30, I worked as a security officer on the night shift at Blackside Alpha, an enigmatic underground military base hidden beneath the suburban sprawl of the United States. Blackside Alpha was a world unto itself, a sprawling complex of tunnels, command centers, and forsaken rooms, all bathed in the sterile glow of fluorescent lights. My fellow guard, Alex, who was just 27, shared my apprehension about our nightly patrols through the base's echoing halls. Our encounters with the inexplicable started subtly, radios crackling with an eerie static that seemed to carry whispers, surveillance monitors glitching with fleeting shadows, and empty corridors. We initially wrote them off as quirks of the old, underground facility. But as the nights wore on, the occurrences grew more disturbing. One night, while checking an abandoned research wing, we heard it, a disembodied voice, murmuring incoherently, emanating from the walls themselves. The sound was chilling, and it seemed to follow us as we moved through the base. Compelled to uncover the truth, Alex and I delved into the hidden history of Blackside Alpha. We discovered that it had been the site of clandestine experiments during the Cold War, experiments that had abruptly ended under mysterious circumstances, with many questions left unanswered. Determined to bring these secrets to light, we started documenting the phenomena. Using our smartphones, we captured footage of objects moving on their own, unexplained cold spots, and the eerie voice that had become our constant, unsettling companion in the depths of the base. The most terrifying encounter occurred in a long-forgotten interrogation room. As we entered, the temperature dropped precipitously. There, manifested before our eyes, was the figure of a soldier, his uniform dirty and tattered, his eyes filled with an unspoken horror. He reached out to us, his mouth moving as if trying to communicate, before dissipating into the air. We reported our experiences, but our claims were met with skepticism and warnings to cease our unauthorized investigations. Unwilling to remain silent, we leaked the footage, which quickly attracted media attention and sparked an investigation. The investigation revealed the grim reality of Blackside Alpha's past. The experiments conducted there had crossed ethical boundaries, leading to the suffering and deaths of numerous subjects, their stories buried in the base's concrete confines. Following the revelations, Blackside Alpha was decommissioned, its halls sealed, and its secrets laid bare. A memorial was erected for those who had suffered within its walls. After the base's closure, the paranormal activity ceased, as if the souls trapped within had finally found peace. The events of 2015 profoundly altered my understanding of the world. They serve as a haunting reminder of the secrets that can lurk in the shadows of power and history. The haunting of Blackside Alpha remains a testament to the unseen and unheard, a narrative of sorrow and darkness hidden beneath the surface of our reality. Story number 6. The Whispering Void of Base Eternity. The year 2016 stands out in my mind like a dark, ominous cloud, filled with events so haunting that they seem to transcend reality. At the age of 30, I found myself working the night shift as a security guard at Base Eternity, a covert underground military facility buried in the suburbs of the United States. Base Eternity was a place straight out of a sci-fi novel, a network of sterile corridors and high-security vaults lying deep beneath the earth. My colleague, Mia, who was 28, shared my sense of unease about the eerie stillness that pervaded the base. Our experience with the inexplicable began with minor, yet unnerving, technological glitches. Radios would sporadically emit a strange static, filled with what sounded like hushed, indecipherable whispers. Surveillance cameras captured fleeting shadows and deserted sections of the base, defying logical explanation. One particularly unsettling night, as we patrolled near the research wing, we heard a sound that chilled us to our bones. A soft, sorrowful humming, echoing through the empty corridors, seemed to emanate from the very walls of the base. We followed the haunting melody, but it always seemed just out of reach. Driven by a growing sense of dread and curiosity, we started investigating the base's secretive past. Our research led us to a disturbing discovery. Base Eternity had been the site of a classified experiment involving sensory deprivation and consciousness exploration. The project was abruptly terminated under mysterious circumstances. Determined to shed light on these dark secrets, Mia and I began documenting our night shifts. Using handheld cameras, we captured eerie footage of unexplained phenomena, lights flickering without cause, electronic equipment malfunctioning in inexplicable ways, and the persistent, haunting humming that followed us like a shadow. The most harrowing encounter happened in a long-abandoned section of the base. We stumbled upon a sealed room, and as we stood there, the air grew frigid, and a sense of overwhelming sadness enveloped us. Suddenly, ghostly figures appeared before us, soldiers and scientists, their expressions twisted in silent screams of agony. We reported our findings, but our superiors were skeptical, dismissing our claims as products of our overactive imaginations. Refusing to be silenced, we leaked the footage, which quickly garnered media attention and sparked a government investigation. The investigation uncovered the harrowing truth of Base Eternity's experiments, revealing the suffering and loss endured by those involved. Following the revelations, the base was shut down, and a memorial was erected in honor of the forgotten victims. After the closure of Base Eternity, the paranormal occurrences ceased, as if the souls trapped within had finally found peace. The events of 2016 profoundly altered my understanding of the world, serving as a stark reminder of the unseen horrors that can lurk in the shadows of secrecy and ambition. The whispering void of Base Eternity remains a chilling testament to the mysteries and tragedies buried beneath the surface of our everyday reality. Story number 7. The Forgotten Shadows of Delta 3. The year 2017 lingers in my memory like an unshakable nightmare. I was 30 years old, working as a security guard on the night shift at Delta 3, an underground military base situated in a suburban area of the United States. Delta 3, with its maze of corridors and eerie, echoing chambers, had always felt unsettling. My colleague, Jenna, aged 27, and I often remarked about the strange atmosphere of the base, a feeling of being watched from the shadows. Our experiences with the unexplained began with subtle but disconcerting incidents. Our radios would occasionally emit a low, unsettling static, as if someone or something was attempting to communicate. The surveillance cameras would intermittently flicker, briefly revealing shadowy figures in areas that were supposed to be vacant. One night, our routine patrol took a turn into the surreal. As we passed through one of the lower levels, a sudden chill enveloped us, and a disembodied whisper echoed through the corridor. The voice was indistinct, yet it carried a tone of desperation and fear. Compelled to investigate the history of Delta 3, we uncovered a chilling past. The base had been the site of a classified experiment in the 1970s involving sensory manipulation and psychological endurance. The project was abruptly shut down and its record sealed following a tragic incident that resulted in several unexplained deaths. Determined to bring the truth to light, Jenna and I began documenting the paranormal phenomena. We captured footage of equipment malfunctioning without explanation, unexplained temperature drops, and the eerie, whispered voices that seemed to permeate the very walls of Delta 3. The most terrifying encounter occurred in a long-abandoned section of the base. We discovered an old lab, its equipment still intact but covered in a thick layer of dust. As we entered, the air grew heavy, and a sense of profound sorrow washed over us. Figures appeared, transparent and sorrowful, scientists and soldiers, reliving their final, agonizing moments over and over. We reported our findings, but our superiors dismissed them, insisting we were suffering from stress-related hallucinations. Refusing to be silenced, we leaked our recordings, which quickly caught the attention of the media. The exposure of our evidence led to a formal investigation of Delta 3. The probe revealed the grim reality of the experiments that had taken place there, bringing to light the suffering of those who had been involved. Following the investigation, Delta 3 was decommissioned. A memorial was erected in honor of those who had lost their lives in the base's dark history. After the base's closure, the paranormal activity ceased, as if the souls trapped within had finally found peace. The events of 2017 changed my perception of reality. They serve as a haunting reminder of the secrets and horrors that can be hidden away, buried under layers of secrecy and time. The forgotten shadows of Delta 3 remain a testament to the unseen and unheard, a somber narrative of pain and darkness that lingers in forgotten places. Story number 8. The Unseen Horrors of Outpost Zulu. 2018 was the year that forever altered my understanding of reality. I was 30, working as a security guard on the night shift at Outpost Zulu, a clandestine underground military base situated in the outskirts of a suburban area in the United States. Outpost Zulu, with its network of subterranean tunnels and high-tech security systems, always had an aura of secrecy and silent dread. My fellow guard, Max, only 28, shared my sentiments. We often discussed the base's oppressive atmosphere, feeling as if we were not alone in the endless corridors. Our encounters with the paranormal began subtly. Electronic equipment would malfunction without explanation, and static-filled whispers would emanate from our radios. The surveillance cameras would inexplicably capture shadowy figures in areas that were confirmed to be empty. One night, as we patrolled a remote section of the base, we encountered something that defied all logic. A chill engulfed the corridor, and a figure appeared before us, a young woman in military garb, her eyes filled with an unspeakable terror. She seemed to be trying to communicate, but her voice was a mere whisper in the cold air. Just as suddenly as she appeared, she vanished into thin air. Driven by a mix of fear and a need for answers, Max and I delved into the base's classified history. We discovered that Outpost Zulu had been the site of experimental research involving psychological warfare. Rumors suggested that the project had led to several unexplained deaths and was hastily shut down. Compelled to expose the truth, we began documenting the strange occurrences. Using our phones, we recorded footage of flickering lights, shadowy figures, and the eerie whispers that seemed to follow us through the base. The most chilling experience occurred when we discovered an abandoned laboratory deep within the base. The moment we entered, the temperature dropped, and a sense of overwhelming despair washed over us. Apparitions of soldiers, their faces contorted with fear and pain, flickered in and out of existence around us, their silent screams echoing off the walls. We reported our findings, but our claims were dismissed by the base command, attributed to stress and fatigue. Undeterred, we leaked the footage, sparking a media frenzy and an internal investigation. The investigation revealed the grim reality of the psychological experiments conducted at Outpost Zulu. In the wake of the revelations, the base was decommissioned. A memorial was erected for those who lost their lives, their stories finally brought to light. After the closure of Outpost Zulu, the paranormal occurrences ceased. The events of 2018 profoundly impacted me, serving as a haunting reminder of the unseen horrors that can lurk in the shadows of secrecy and power. The unseen horrors of Outpost Zulu remain a stark testament to the echoes of a troubled past, forever imprinted in the silent, abandoned corridors of the base. Story number 9. Echoes in the Underground. The year 2019 will forever haunt me, etched into my memory as a year of inexplicable terror and revelations. I was 30, serving as a security guard at an underground military facility known as Site Sigma, located in the suburbs of the United States. Site Sigma was a sprawling maze of high-security vaults and dimly lit corridors, buried deep beneath the surface. My fellow guard, Lily, 29, and I often felt a sense of foreboding as we patrolled its silent, oppressive halls. Our ordeal began with subtle, unnerving malfunctions. Radios would suddenly emit a chilling static, filled with barely discernible whispers. The surveillance monitors would flicker, displaying fleeting shadows in the corners of empty rooms. One night, our routine patrol took a sinister turn. As we navigated the lower levels, we heard an unexplained, rhythmic tapping echoing through the corridors. The sound was erratic, unpredictable, and seemed to emanate from the very walls. Compelled to uncover the source, Lily and I delved into the secretive history of Site Sigma. We unearthed disturbing accounts of unexplained disappearances and unauthorized experiments dating back to the Cold War era. It was rumored that these experiments delved into the realm of the paranormal. Determined to reveal the truth, we started documenting our experiences. Our cameras captured haunting images, doors slamming shut on their own, lights flickering erratically, and chilling apparitions that seemed to linger in the background. The most horrifying encounter occurred in the long-forgotten research wing. As we entered, the air turned icy, and a palpable sense of dread overwhelmed us. Figures materialized before our eyes, ghostly soldiers and scientists, their expressions etched with pain and fear. They reached out to us, their mouths moving in silent pleas, before vanishing into the ether. We reported our findings, but the base command dismissed them as hallucinations caused by the stress of night shifts. Frustrated and determined, we leaked the footage, drawing the attention of investigative journalists and paranormal experts. The subsequent inquiry uncovered the base's dark past. Site Sigma had been a hub for experiments on the human psyche, many of which had ended in tragedy. The revelations led to the base's decommissioning, and a memorial was erected in honor of the lost souls. After the closure of Site Sigma, the paranormal activity ceased. The events of 2019 changed my perception of reality, revealing a world where the past's horrors can seep into the present. The echoes in the underground of Site Sigma stand as a chilling reminder of the unseen and forgotten, forever echoing their stories in the silence of the abandoned base. Story number 10. The Shadows of Deep Base Alpha. The year 2020, etched in global memory for its chaos, harbored a personal horror story for me. I was 30, and my job was to guard Deep Base Alpha, a secretive underground military facility nestled in the suburban area of the United States. My colleague, Ethan, 28, and I walked the silent corridors of the base each night. The base, with its network of underground tunnels and abandoned sections, always felt unnerving, as though the shadows themselves were alive. Our experiences with the unexplained began subtly. Equipment would fail inexplicably, our radios emitting static that seemed to whisper in a language we couldn't understand. The surveillance cameras would capture glimpses of figures that vanished when we blinked. One night, as we patrolled near an old research sector, we heard it, a sound like a sigh reverberating through the dark corridors. We followed it, only to find ourselves in a part of the base we didn't recognize, surrounded by an unnerving coldness. Compelled by a mix of fear and curiosity, we started investigating the base's clandestine past. Our research led us to a horrifying revelation. Deep Base Alpha had been the site of psychological experiments during the Cold War, many of which had ended in tragedy. Determined to bring the truth to light, we began documenting our night shifts. We captured footage of objects moving on their own, shadows that lurked just out of sight, and the eerie, disembodied sighs that echoed through the empty halls. The most chilling encounter occurred in the long-abandoned wing of the base. The air turned frigid as spectral figures appeared before us, soldiers and researchers, their faces twisted in expressions of fear and agony. They seemed to be reliving their last moments, trapped in a loop of their tragic end. We reported our findings, but our superiors were quick to dismiss them, attributing our experiences to stress and fatigue. Unwilling to let the story be buried, we leaked our footage, drawing the attention of the media and paranormal investigators. The ensuing investigation brought to light the dark history of Deep Base Alpha. In the wake of the revelations, the base was shut down, and a memorial was erected in honor of those who had suffered within its walls. Following the closure of the base, the paranormal occurrences ceased. The events of 2020 profoundly altered my understanding of reality, revealing a hidden world of pain and secrets. The shadows of Deep Base Alpha serve as a haunting reminder of the past's ability to seep into the present, a somber echo of the unseen tragedies that unfold in the shadows of history.